Hello and welcome to the Cow Corner Dugout. This is a place where we normally meet at 11 o'clock because that's when the games usually end. But today, the game, despite the first innings um, taking painfully long with frequent disturbances due to desert storm conditions, which we've seen in other countries but not in Delhi. But today there was a sandstorm issue, I think, and some bugs in the air. All kind of delays in the first innings, but that couldn't delay the result and the agony for DC. Welcome, Shamak. Shamak is with us today. Shamak, खुश तो बहुत हो गए तुम.
Yep, as an RCB fan, I'm cautiously optimistic for the season. So far, things are going quite well. I'm quite happy.
Yeah, I mean now I think we'll pull up the points table in a bit, but I think RCB and PBKS are showing that last year was not a off chance, that they've planned their auction cycle well and then filled in the little missing gaps. Those of you who've joined from Kannan's Twitter or X handle, he'll be here with us shortly. He's listening to us while chomping down some food because he was also caught unawares, like most of us were. But we wanted to join us, and for a change, sleep early. Tell us about the game, Shamak. What happened? I mean, how did it go? Um,
I think the first few overs, it certainly didn't feel like the same IPL we've been seeing for the last few weeks. The conditions were very much what you'd imagine from a test, from a test match as opposed to a T20, and especially given that just 2 days ago Delhi hit, what was it, 262, 264 was it? Given that, it's quite a massive leap from there to the match that we saw today. Uh, I can't explain it. I mean, it was excellent bowling and uh, rubbish technique, which again I kind of understand because you do go with hard hands in a T20, of course, but this was just, I don't know. I think at some point I kept, as an RCB fan, I was very happy with the way things were going, but I kept expecting that someone would just drop anchor for like 2 overs, just see off the swing. But no, they just kept going with hard hands. I can't really explain it. Just one of those things, I suppose.
yeah, I mean, you could say Porel and Miller dropped anchor,
But that was
where
like
they
after they were
refused to
five
hit
down.
him. Yeah, they refused to even take a chance, right? There were some bad balls which weren't put away. That Ramaria Shepherd over under normal circumstances should have gone for 30, but
Again, as an
I
RCB
think
fan,
that
I don't
also
have
went for
sympathy
10.
to Mario Shepard. Like, I appreciate that he's in the team primarily for his batting, but he should just not be bowling at all.
Uh, but there will be an occasion where they lead to bowling somewhere because at some point somebody will be taken down, right? But what do you think? You think their top five bowlers, irrespective of a bad day, are still better off than Romario? I think that's a fair comment, right?
Yes, I think that's very clearly the case. I don't think Romario, again, with all respect to him, I don't think he's a particularly effective bowler because the thing is, he doesn't he just bowls at one fairly consistent pace, like mid 130s, just straight up hit me balls. It does nothing. It doesn't seam. It doesn't swing. He doesn't have a good slow ball. He doesn't have a sharp bouncer. It's just there, and it's the perfect pace to hit on a flat pitch. He's just gonna bleed runs.
So what do they do? Like, because do you need to then have him if he's a rainy day batter kind of a scenario,
So
right?
I think we've actually discussed this in one of our past podcast series,
We
one
did.
of the ones that I was on, where we discussed it might make more sense to actually just have Jacob Duffy in place of Romario, and then maybe bring in someone like a Venkatesh Iyer who provides that bit of depth with the bat and also can bowl a couple of overs. I don't think Venkatesh Iyer is any worse of a bowler than Romario, and Jacob Duffy will give you another very good option with a new ball. I don't think you should bowl the death. I think for that you have Bhuvi and you have Josh Hazelwood and potentially even Rasikh Salam. But with the new ball, Duffy, basically what he did in the first game, open the bowling, bowl out your 4 overs in the first 10, and that's it. You're done for the day.
Okay. Hello, Trinay.
Hello.
Isn't it?
Have you managed to catch the game? It went off literally during your nap time.
No, I caught it fully this time. As little of it as there was. Yeah, pretty interesting. Who was the guy who opened for DC this time? Why did they choose him instead of Corral? Do any of you have an idea why?
Instead of Porel, I have no idea. That's a fair
I'm not
comment.
familiar with him at all.
Yeah, this is the first time I've
I
heard
have
of
no
him.
idea.
That's why.
Karthik, you need to unmute your mic.
Yeah, that opener, the young opener who got selected today. But if they're selecting somebody like Sahil Parak, the question is why is what's the other name here? This guy Prithvi Shaw.
Porel.
No, why is Prithvi Shaw
Ah.
not being considered as an opener? Because you've gone for somebody completely who's not been given a game or not been spoken about on their social media channels, and all of a sudden we see this. Even as somebody playing fantasy, I wasn't sure. Okay, who do we have here? And why are they not taking Prithvi Shaw? Because I saw Hemang Badani doing this 45 runs in 3 overs challenge on social media. So I think whenever something happens on social media, it's just to keep people happy, nothing to do with actual, indication of whether somebody's about to play. But yeah, I think I didn't know, it's a fairly very different decision on why they decided to go ahead with this new opener.
Clearly, they've
The
seen
good part,
something.
this one,
The- Clearly, they've seen something probably in the nets. I mean, the DC management is, Nirav, you obviously know them better than I do, but they seem to know what they're doing by and large. So I don't think they just plucked someone for the sake of it. Clearly, he must have been batting well in the nets. They must have seen something in him to give him the opportunity. It didn't come across. It didn't come off today, but I would hope that they stick with him for a couple of games because we didn't see enough to make a judgment whether he's good or
Yeah,
not.
fair enough. You got a peach up front. But I do question the fact that, well, I think you're a fan of Prithvi Shaw as well, right? Or am I confused? Shamak?
Me,
No,
I was a fan of his a few years ago, not so
You
much
were,
anymore.
no? Yeah. I still feel, I still feel Abhishek has cut a bad wire, wrong wire completely, because there's no reason he shouldn't have been the third option. The second option after Patum. If they had to bring in an Indian batter, he's left-hander, he bats at number 3 for his SMAT team. Yeah, Prithvi, or he needed to be. I don't know why. I don't know. So I don't know enough about this player to be fair to him. So
I just checked up some numbers on this guy. I think, has scored 100 in an under-19 game versus Australia in 2024. That's his. When I look at his last few innings as such, but in T20 there's no specific record. I'm sure he's picked on potential, just like somebody like a Priyan Charya was picked in maybe some other league. So that way, that's where he's come. But
no, but
the
then
fair
you
question,
take a punt upfront in the season, or you take a punt at the back end of the season once your season is done. So I would
Fair,
have actually, after a game, if they played Abhishek Porel, and now I think effectively their season is done, right? Will bring up the points table.
you never know with Delhi. I think the top 3 sides will anyway make it. The 4th side will scramble to a 14, I think.
Well, so Delhi to get to 14 needs to win 4 out of the remaining 6.
Which is
Which is doable.
not unheard of. Yeah.
See, the thing
Which
is,
is not
all
unheard
these sides, and I think RR is about to start its rut. RR will start its rut now, is what I feel. That means 7 ugly sides competing for this imperfect thing, and one of these sides will go through. Is probably my perception. PBK's
I
RCB
think
and
it's
SRH
5.
settled. Kaun sa
I'll
five?
still put SRH in that second mix of scramble for third and fourth spot. So I think there'll be 5 teams scrambling for.
I think
Chalo,
at this point, PBKS and RCB are very, very clearly ahead of the others. I think
another league.
they're definitely in the top tier at this point. SRH have shown a lot of promise. I still think that there are a few question marks on their bowling. They haven't really.
And they're bowling away from home. So I'm not convinced they're a good team away from home.
Yeah, fair. RR are a very good team which have just not clicked, and as Karthik said, they have in the past had a tendency of starting strong and then trailing off. But yeah, I think everybody else right now is still kind of up for grabs.
Yeah, so I would say I'm pretty much ruling out the bottom 3. I mean, it's a bad IPL if one of them deserves to even make it. So they need to be a thing at the club. But I think 3 to 7, that's 5 teams fighting it out for 2 spots, is still a healthy IPL. And because I think the bottom three will go even further down. As in, I don't think they will. It's not like they will get to 10 and 12 points to make the other teams struggle. So I think the top. I personally think that the top two teams will go through at 20 odd. And then the rest of the team will struggle between 18 and 16, not 16 and 14 as was previously. Because a lot of those.
I feel like I don't want to write off MI just yet. I just based on the fact that they have a good team, it just hasn't clicked with them. But I feel like they might just surprise us later on. I don't know. I will write off KKR and LSG. I won't write off MI as of right now.
7 games.
Yeah, it's only because they're good paper, right? So, but you're expecting them to win 5 out of the remaining 7, or even 6 out of the. I'm saying 10, 14 points won't cut it this time. That's what I'm saying. You need 16 minimum to be squeezing through, because it's that kind of a year where two teams, because they drop so many points, that the higher teams gets more and more. So I have a feeling the 4th place will go at 16. I said it. Mark it. On 1 month ahead of the playoffs. So it is what it is.
Something with the pitch today, or was it just a Hazelwood and Bobby masterclass?
I think it was a bit of both.
They also picked a great ball. So sometimes you get that one ball in a box swings. We played cricket enough to know that that's a bizarre nature of cricket. But
the conditions were clearly conducive to swing bowling, and in Hazelwood and Bhuvaneshwar, you have two guys who really get the ball to swing, and when the ball is swinging, both of them are lethal. So I think it was just a mixture of a lot of things that went right for RCB and a lot of things that went wrong for DC. But I mean, yeah, like I said at the start of the program, I kept expecting someone to just play out a couple of overs, and they just kept going for their shots and kept getting out.
Yeah, but you saw guys like Stubbs just pushing at one and then nicking off to first slip, which, I mean, how many times?
So did Akshar. So did. I mean, I'm trying to think who played shots. Nobody really. Rahul played a shot. That's about it, right? Everybody else got beaten on a poke or a prod.
And we were going with hard hands. They weren't like sort of just trying to smother the ball. They were still going with hard hands.
I mean, besides the CSK you don't see that happening too often, right? It's a very test match style dismissal, which, yeah, it's odd, isn't it? You don't expect that when this team has just put up 260 odd in the previous game, and their opener Rahul's got 150-ish, right?
Yep.
Yeah, really odd. You'd expect him to ride some of that form. Rana himself is in good form. He scored 90 the other day. And it's their home. They should be making runs. At least, 260 is a little far-fetched. 200 maybe. Especially since it's a home track. But we've had our fair share of home tracks not helping the home side. Like yesterday's match with GT and CSK. Any reports if the curators messed with this track or anything like that?
I don't know. I mean, it seemed perfectly fine when RCB was batting.
Yeah. Same story yesterday. GT made it look like a 220 track, but there was a lot of.
Yeah, maybe it was the 5-6 overs at the top, but having said that, Suyash, his first ball, he spinned it a mile for Abhishek Porel, right? Abhishek, it missed Porel, it missed his bat, it missed his pad, it missed his wickets. That's how much it turned. That very first ball. So he was getting turn, he was getting a fair degree of bounce. I mean, even Romario Shepherd went for only 12 runs. So that's, So yeah, I mean, I think it was good for maybe 8 or 9 overs. And by which time DC was 70 odd.
Was spinning it well into his final over as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what I meant was that there was life in it, which you had to ride out, not just 3-4 overs, which is usually at worst the case, but you had to ride it out for 9 overs. So you had to play, one-day cricket, not test match cricket. You had to do what perhaps Rituraj did yesterday. So today a 74 of 60 would have been a good batting.
I still don't think it would have been enough. Like given the way that RCB came out batting, maybe it just flattened out by the second innings. But I don't think a 70 odd of 50 would have cut it today either.
No, but Delhi don't have the bowling strengths that RCB have, right? There's a considerable difference between Hazelwood and Bhuvi and Chamira and Jameson. Right? They don't have Ngidi either.
I think they need Stark back soon. Stark and Ngidi back soon, and to get their best 11.
Back, right?
Stark's back on
Stark
the
is
on the first.
Stark is hanging around in the dugout, so I mean he was not playing. Even the last game, at the point Ngidi fell down, they showed Stark, roaming around near the dugout, but he wasn't listed in an impact sub, so he couldn't have come in.
The world is waiting for 2 Australians to come, right? There's Lucknow waiting for Josh Inglis, and there's Delhi waiting for Stark. And they're going to come after the season is over.
Not to go on.
Well, I think LSG's. Well,
I think LSG is
until the E is done, it's not done. But I mean, they know it.
Their season was done 2 games ago, right? No one has been taking them
See, we
seriously.
feel that I think if LSG basically wins one more game, they're on par with CSK and DC. Just imagine that is the level of difference. They could have been on par with CSK and DC.
No, but
if
I think
they had not bottled that.
The big difference is that CSK and DC have at least looked like competitive teams at various points. LSG has just not looked competitive.
But I'm saying they'd still be on 6 points. They should have won that game.
Small sample size, right? That is small sample size. That's because of the stupidity of, you've played a couple of games.
No, so let's go back. What are the games they won? They won a game which they should have lost to KKR, which Mukul bailed them out, right? That's one of the games. I can't even remember what the other game they won.
The other one was against SRH, where their batting failed, which is always a possibility with SRH. And then Pant anchored.
That was the Shami. That was the Shami.
Yeah.
It was a similar situation, right? Where Shami 4 overs 2 for 9, right? That was the and LSG has got a good bowling lineup. So when Prince Yadav and Avesh and Mayank and whoever else bowls for them, Mohsin, delivers, then they are a potent bowling. And also at Ekana, 160 is so that one day they restricted the opposition to 155 and batted sensibly.
In fact, I'm getting scared that CSK might lose to LSG twice.
No, please. God, no.
CSK have basically been Sanju or bust this year.
Yeah, it's very binary, right? It's just so dependent on Sanju Samson. And now we've got another kid from Maharashtra, Ayush Vartak, who's being spotted. So CSK is basically another Mumbai Indians, but it's Maharashtra Indians, basically. Maharashtra Indians and all, from dad's army, it's gone to boys' army. Look at CSK's talent pool. Everything is fairly young. So it's very different from the 2018 season. And yeah, there's a comment that Matre was actually better than Sanju in terms of intent.
Yeah, he had more impact.
But you can't say that. Well, I mean, but those were shorter innings and not match-winning innings the way Sanju's did, right? Sanju delivered under tough circumstances, and it's only at the end of the innings you realized how important Sanju's innings were. Yeah. Even though they were, and he still got them in what is hundreds and under 60 balls. So what are we even saying?
But Matre's still been the second best batter, right?
For sure. I mean, it's that same old thing, right? Kohli being there allows DDP, Rajat Patidar, Tim David, etc., to look good, right? So you need that one. I mean, in the old times it was called an anchor, but it's now it's shepherd, right? It's a guy who just directs the traffic while not being out of the game himself.
Yeah.
So Andy says Sanju won them the KKR game. He even won them the SRH game, which they then proceeded to unwin.
Dubey proceeded to unwin. Dubey and Matt Shot proceeded to unwin, you mean? But I think the biggest villain of this team is the management. I'm talking about CSK here. Their biggest villain has been the management more than anything. As much flack as we give Dubey or Karthik, they're still very stubborn.
Why do we revert to RCB, CSK? Why can't we just finish with today's game and call it a night?
Yeah, exactly.
What else is there to say about tonight's game? I mean,
so is DC shit? Are they ready to be in this? So I've called this the shit cluster, right at the bottom. They were till 2 nights ago. There were 2 teams. Now MI has joined them. Are we ready to put DC in that shit cluster? Or
Not yet.
what can DC do? What can DC do?
Bring in
I think
Shaw
we'll have-
/ Borrell at the top. Hope that Stark and Ngidi come back by the. They have a slight.
What's the news on Ingidi?
7 to 10 days, right? You have to wait and see. According
10
to
days?
concussion protocols. No, 7 to 10 days he'll be placed under observation, and
That's
until
what
then he
three
can't be.
games.
That's
another
basically
3 games.
3-4 games. Yeah,
Basically,
easily
yeah,
3-4
like,
games.
the season is almost over by that
Yeah,
point.
then he's done. Because those are standard.
One second, I'll
concussion
just check
protocols.
when DC's next game is 1st May, which is Friday.
But my only point here is these sides have shown they've blown hot and cold. If MI beat SRH, and there's a friend of ours on the podcast, Hindustan's traveling all the way to see an MI game from Colombo to Mumbai. And I told him, okay, if actually MI beat SRH, then you do us a favor, us as in CSK fans a favor, such that where MI again comes up and then SRH stays where they are. And if you realize the difference between SRH and CSK is just that one game where CSK on a Saturday night, lost out to SRH. It was a chase that CSK should have won, but CSK lost.
No, the difference between SRH and CSK is 2 wins.
अरे अभी उतना मत देखो यार. If they had won, if they had
उतना
lost
ही
that
देख रहा
game,
हूँ.
there would have been 8. नहीं, if they had lost that game, there'd be 8.
And
If
we
CSK
get
had won that game, there'd be 8. We'd be the same. That's what I'm saying.
some black maths right here.
Yeah, but as things stand, yeah, so CSK's best chance is to actually not for SRH to lose, but for the rest of the teams to keep losing.
Yeah,
Teams
so
through
my
4
sense is
to 8, 4
RCB
to
and
9.
PBKs is too tough to expect them. They are in a different tangent. If at all somebody has to start losing, it's time SRH and RR start their losing streak. It'll be good for the competition.
RR probably is right. I mean, they have the similar problems that GT do, but they have gotten away with it / overridden.
No, but the thing is, the one fundamental difference with RR is that they have an absolute gun bowler at the top.
Bowling.
Yeah,
They have 5 good bowling. They have 5 good bowlers.
yeah, and
So
you got
which is
you have
why
the
I
top
feel
actually doing well. They just haven't sort of clicked together, barring a couple of games here and there. Jaiswal has actually been a little bit of a disappointment after he started the tournament really well. I think he's kind of faded away a little. Vaibhav had also gone down, but then obviously he played that phenomenal innings in the last game. So I think RR are still they have, like, history tells us that they tend to kind of lose steam a little bit in the middle of the tournament. I'm hoping that doesn't happen because I do genuinely think that they are a very good team. And I thought that they were clearly the third best team of the tournament for the last few games. They've gone down a little bit, but I think they still have a lot of potential.
the thing with these teams, I feel, is RR, GT, and DC, is the day they get their top 5 bowlers on the field, no, they'll actually do. There's a good chance they'll win because the batting is competent enough to match the rest of the teams. Not maybe PPK's RCB, but so I feel GT, DC, and RR, because they've got 5 good bowlers on a given day, they could have 5 good bowlers. They are competitive. Whereas I feel CSK suffers because of that. CSK relies on extreme brilliance. Like one guy has to really have one Overton has to have a great game, or one Sanju has to have a great game. So it's a very, somebody has to be outstanding because their bowling attack is not good enough to compete. So they always batters have to always deliver 20 over par. Whereas it's these teams, specifically RR, DC, and GT. Yes, sure. DC's bowlers today one thing, and then they also gave 265. But there is a potential that on a given day they'll get it together. So I still feel that in a long tournament, eventually it becomes how good your bowling is, right?
But see that
If you look at all the great wins, it's the bowlers who deliver, right? GT has won the tournament with one batter. I
completely agree with you, but with that being said, LSG have an excellent bowling attack and they are where they are right now.
But their batting is ultimate shit because the batting finishes at 4, right? And yesterday it was a joke. I mean, I wish you had joined us. We would have had some fun, right? Because we were live, and the super over happened. Because we had 2 matches to discuss. It is bizarre. When we looked at the stats later, Nicholas Puran's track record, not only he against Sunil Narayan is one thing. His track record outside of Sunil Narayan is also bullshit. So why was he going and taking the first ball is.
And he's in bad form too. So there was no reason for him to be out there.
Bullshit cocktail, basically. Everything you don't want,
It's-
they sent out there. And he took strike on top of all of that.
So
We have a comment here from Andy B. CSK's bowling has been better than expected. Yeah, it has actually. I feel we are giving their bowling too much flack when the batting comes off less than it actually should.
it's not very. I mean, like, so they didn't even make a dent in some of the games, right? So the game against GT, it's a flat bowling, right? So unless, I mean, it is that one game you can say against DC they defended, but
They got
having
MI
said
all out
that,
for
it was
100.
they defend. Yeah, so that okay. They defended
It's not
200 plus. That's what I'm
It's
saying.
not as shit
Fair.
of a bowling
It's
as
fair
LSU.
that they've been better than expected, but the expectations were on the floor. So
Yeah, fair
while
enough.
yes, it has been better than expected, it still hasn't been good by any stretch.
Good point.
Okay, well put
So
that.
we are saying they've defended. CSK has defended 200 plus scores against MI and against GT. Not GT. Who was the other team? DC. Right. So the batters delivered. Then the bowlers had the good day. But when the batters don't deliver, right? Against GT, they were not. The bowlers didn't even bring them into the game. Like, it's not too early wickets. Let's create some pressure. Let's get them 50 for 3. Because even at 70 for 3, GT can be rocked. But eventually it was 100 and it was chased down. I mean, Sai I don't know why he tried to get out. He needs to learn a few things from Kohli. So
See, but
it was effectively a 10-wicket win. That 1 wicket of Shubman Gill was wide down the leg side. I was like, think about that. We discussed this yesterday. If that did not happen, the wide ball down the leg side, Sanju's magical moment, it was a 10-wicket win. They would have got 150 for no loss.
But they
So
dropped him, right?
GT's
Akil dropped him on the boundary.
tough catch. I mean, that way, so then, I'm sure Rituraj got dropped twice as well. But yeah, so my point on this is that on a bad batter's day, you can't rely on CSK bowlers. Whereas you can potentially rely on GT's bowlers, DC's bowlers. If it's a competitive wicket, 160, tough to bat on, if their team posts 160, 160, 180, the bowlers will be in the game.
Yeah.
So, which is why I feel, and as we get to May and further down, that is more likely to happen. That these kind of 160, 180 games will come around.
I think that's also why I'm not yet writing off MI. I think, especially now that Keshav Maharaj has joined them to replace Mitchell Santner, I rate Maharaj very highly. So I think they've got enough bowling firepower, and of course they do have the batters. It's just it hasn't really clicked for them very well. But I do think that MI is a considerably better team, even on paper, yes, but just in general a better team than number 9 on the points table suggests.
See, but MI has to win 6 out of the next 7. According to Nira, we need 16 to
No,
qualify
fair enough.
minimum.
I'm not saying that they're in with a chance to qualify, which and technically on paper they are. My point is they're not as bad as number 9 suggests, and I do think that by the time we're done with this round, I expect them to at least have vied for the top position, the top 4, if not actually getting it. So I imagine that they'll probably be 5 or 6 at worst at the end of the tournament. I don't think they're going to end at number 9.
Fair
6,
enough.
7.
The bottom 8,
Okay.
right? I just think that anything can happen with these sides as we go into the second half of the tournament. It's not like these MI or LSG are done with the season. As you said, right? This is one
No,
victory.
LSG is
difference.
done. You let me state it. Let me confidently, cockily state it.
No, when
LSG
I
is
said
not
done-
making it much higher than 10.
No.
If they have a
Okay.
run of wins, they'll make it to 9.
No, I think we will see a change in this points table as we get to the point. I think LSG is not going to be 10th.
Then who's 10th?
Okay, let's pull up a question or two. Comments. Is the heat wave going to have such an impact on pitches? If yes, then batting abilities of teams on slow pitches needs to be factored in and subsequently in the points table. So, who are the teams which are? So LSG ideally should be best suited because nobody has scored 160, much more than 160 at Ekana yet. 5 games have happened. Whoever's batted first, the topmost score has been, I think, 164 or something. So LSG, by that logic, should be best suited to do well in these ragged kind of pitches. Having said that, they bottled 150 run chases. They got out for 119 against RR the other night, and yesterday, I mean, it was a Mohammad Shami miracle which brought them as into the super over. They had completely bundled the chase. Which of these batting teams are good?
They don't have the batting right as much, or
They don't
the
have
ability is there, but they just don't have the talent
opportunity is
level.
there, ability is not there. Because they are playing on ragged pitches. But who out of these teams will last out the ragged pitches?
I think
Punjab?
someone like
DC?
GT.
No.
See, I
GT,
think the
CSK.
GT has a very, very strong top three. If you give a 150, 160 wicket, they will chase it down. I think they did chase down in Ekana, right?
They will chase it. They will chase it down.
146, 147. They had a very easy chase. So I think GT is the master of. So you give any kind of pitch to them, even if it's a subpar batting wicket, GT is an above par batting team. They will find their way. They're top three.
I'll stop you there. I'll turn it around. In a game like today, in DC's position, do you think they would have got to 150, 160 rather than 75 or not?
I think they would have.
I think if
definitely more than
any
120
team would have survived the new ball against RCB, it would have been GT. My concern with GT is that if it's a sub-par batting track, they'll still score par or maybe an above par. My issue with GT is if it's a completely flat pitch, then they're going to be 10, 15 runs short.
They're going to be out. Yeah.
Don't have the kind of firepower that a
Yes.
PBKS or an SRH has.
So they get outplayed in the 220, 240 wala games.
Yeah.
But in a 160, 180 kind of game, they are better than most.
I agree.
Right.
So logically at this point, as we go further in the tournament, you would expect GT to do better. That's the rationale, right? But I don't know if that might happen. Because what also happens is bowlers tend to get tired, right? And so far they've had very good bowling performances. Prasidh has already been rested now. I mean, for whatever reason, maybe he was pulled out after 2 overs in that RCB run fest, and then he was benched the next game. So you don't know where he's at mentally, physically. Siraj, Rabada, yes, okay. So the struggle is bigger. Rashid is completely out of his depth. I mean, I think it's time to actually replace him and bring in a Sai Kishore, who I think will be more effective. Or
it's a huge call, right, for a franchise to take a Rashid Khan out. It's a huge call for a franchise to take somebody like Rashid Khan out. I know he's had his ups and downs.
So what happened the other night was against CSK. Yes, it was a low total, but at a point in which they had to give a 20th over to a non-frontline bowler, they picked Manav Sutar ahead of Rashid Khan.
Which is probably because I think Ashwin was speaking, right? On that wicket, if a finger spinner is going to get a lot more bite out of it. That was the logic rather than giving a wrist spinner. That was what he was saying, that on that kind of a damp wicket, a finger spinner would have more.
I'll add to Neerav's point. Forget about the 20th over. The 7th over, right after the power play, your main spinner's over went to Sutar and not to Rashid Khan. Right? So that
Rashid Khan didn't show up till the 16th over that.
Exactly.
He bowled 1 over, went for 21 runs and was not bowled again. So in a situation like this, and that is happening now in 3 games back to back, where he's been brought on late because they are trying to keep the momentum of the power play going. So they've not brought him over number 7, 8, 9, 10. After that, you're definitely not bowling him 4 overs, right?
But is that management of a good resource? Like, would you?
It's obviously the lack of confidence in Rashid as well as his the team on him, right?
Didn't he have a string of games?
Okay. So I know these are tough calls, but as fans, we should be in a position to ask for the tough call to be made, right? If you're asking that of CSK, that you do make these tough calls, then I think merit has to be considered, right? Rashid has gotten a fairly long run, being completely out of form with the ball, and you don't need his batting at number 8, 9. There are better batters. So I think I have a feeling GT in the last 2 games is creating grounds to move out Rashid Khan. I'll explain why. They brought in Manav Sutar and Arshad Khan, both players who are left-arm spinners and left-arm fast bowlers, moving it away from the right-hand batsman. right? Arshad's stock delivery is across, right? And they are both number 7, number 8 batters. So I have a feeling that they are. I mean, this is according to me, and we discuss that. I'll bring up their 11. So you'll understand that 11 has 7 bowling options. Where are they? Where are they? Okay. So here's what they had, right?
Oh, sorry. Can you add that back in here?
Yeah. So this is what they had. Now, if you take out Rashid from this, you still have 6 bowling options. You have Siraj, Rabada, Sutar, Arshad, Holder, Washington. And if instead of Rashid, if you bring in back overseas batter in the top 5,
Phillips.
right? You give Phillips. I don't know who else is left. Is there somebody else? I think we're missing one person. Who else is in the GT squad? There's Connor Esterhazen, who's okay. Yeah, pretty much Glenn Phillips is the only option.
Yeah.
So, I mean, wouldn't you consider it? If
Not so
Rashid is going to
interesting
end
way
up
to look
bowling,
at it.
Didn't he
I mean,
have
I
a
would
good,
look at it if
good
I
game
was-
or two in between?
he had one good game in the second or third game. And I think that might have been in Lucknow.
And
Or,
against a shit
but
team,
anyway,
yeah.
let's.
Don't you think? See, but they're using him really late.
See, they're scared to
Don't you
bowl.
think
Let's see now. Let's see in the next game what happens. I don't know what, but I'm saying if GT is to face an RR or rather any explosive opening batter system, and the opposition is 70, 75 for no loss in 6 overs, they are not bringing Rashid Khan. Not against SRH, not against RR. That is what I'm saying. If you're fearing to bowl your best bowler, you shouldn't be playing him because it's
Fair.
demoralizing.
then Phillips probably comes straight
The other
in,
thing I
right?
wanted to discuss was a bit of what is this mid-season trade and how does it work? Can teams plug in gaps which they
Unless other teams are completely okay with doing this. Like, for example, we saw this trade between Jaddu, Sam Curran, which was, after the
that was a
season.
pre-season.
was
Isn't there a
pre-season.
mid-season?
Yeah, after pre. But I'm saying that kind of thing where they say, okay, I think you will lose this, I will get this, and I think it'll help us. But if it's a mid-season, I've never seen a mid-season trade ever come through because I don't think teams would, even if they have a player on bench, they'll be like, why should this player go and help the other team such that they can get ahead on the points table? Even though we don't have relegation or there are not much big stakes here, teams sometimes really don't care. They don't
Is
trade
there a
people that way.
mid-season trade window in the IPL?
I think there is, and it's currently on. You can check on this. Our friends
I
at
think the
Gemini
only
will tell
time
us.
trade happens easily is, like, for example, if Mumbai Indians want somebody badly, they will make sure the trade happens. I think we have to wait and see if MI can.
In the NBA, how it works, because you
So
kind of
IPL mid-season trade window 2026. It's usually is after 7, 8 games.
I don't remember mid-season
know,
trade.
There is a window for it. I'll check on when has it been activated or not.
Has anyone ever been traded mid-season? I don't remember any moves during the season.
Sorry, come again.
No, have
I
there
don't
been
know if it's
any?
ever happened.
The closest I've seen is CSK just signed Madhwal, who was a net bowler
But
for
that's
MI.
not
That was a
that's
trade.
replacement. That's not a trade. That's a replacement.
No, but that's the closest we've come to mid-season signings as such.
No,
And that was
that's
because
happened in
of
the past as well. Dewald Brevis was a mid-season injury replacement. So
Yeah,
that's
Injury
happened.
We've never seen trades.
Injury
So the
replacement.
mid-season. So there is a mid-season trade window, which is open after all teams have played 7 matches. So it's therefore happened yesterday. I don't know what. So, like for example, when Prithvi Shah is not being considered, why wouldn't LSG ask for him? Or somebody like that, right? Or KKR. It'll solve KKR's problem, for example.
Yeah.
Right? So and if you get shitloads of money for it, why wouldn't you do it?
But what would these guys do with that money? Does it add to their auction purse next time around?
No, whatever, I don't know. Why are you complaining about money coming in? Nobody complains about money coming in.
No, but what if he goes there and makes a shit ton of runs? Then these guys will look really stupid for playing.
So usually
Batum and
what
whoever.
No,
happens?
it's only a loan for the rest of the season. So if now, I mean, for example, if KKR says, we'd like Prithvi Shaw, you're not playing him, he's not in your top 20, he's not even in an impact sub list, can we have him? And here's 10 crores. Why wouldn't DC take it up? Like, doesn't it make sense? Because that solves a lot of KKR's problems. Because then they can get.
Is it a loan for the remainder of that season? Then he goes
It's
back.
a loan for the rest. It's a loan for the rest of us. It's a transfer. It's a whatever this thing is called. That's why it's there in the Premier Leagues. No, in the football it happens.
Those are permanent transfers. It's not the loan format is
no.
In football, there are loans. In the NBA, there are loans. So I'm not a football fan. I'm a basketball fan. So I'm looking at it through the NBA lens. In the NBA, you do have mid-season trades, but that's you're giving one of your players and getting another player or whatever, 2-3 players, combinations, all that exists. But essentially, you are giving away an asset that you are not using, and you're seeking an asset to fill a very specific gap. So, for example, if as you said, if KKR needs an opening batter and they take Prithvi Shaw from DC, then they'll also have to give a player from their side, and maybe they can give a player and an amount of cash or whatever that is. But essentially, you're not using one of your assets. I need that asset, so I'm given to me, and I'll give you an asset that you could use potentially for your team in the future. So that's how it works in the NBA. Now, again, I don't know if that's what the system of your setup is, because as far as I'm aware, there's never been a mid-season trade in the IPL.
Ideally for a mid-season trade, right? Yeah. Ideally for a mid-season trade, let's say a player like Arjun Tendulkar or Prithvi Shaw who are not getting a game. I'm just wondering, how would that even happen? Would the franchisee, what are the triggers here? Let's say CSK want a left-arm pacer, and they say, okay, man, we might, need somebody, even if they are level 3 kind of bowlers, not a level 1 elite level bowler. We don't have it. Maybe we can just fill it for this season at whatever price that we want to. And they put in a request, and then maybe the agents speak. I don't know if agents are even involved here for these, because that would make things faster, because here is somebody who's actually interested for the commerce to happen or for the deal to happen, because some players are just stuck. They don't get games at all. Like, for example, CSK for a long time had Jagadisan. They had players, I forget, there were two brothers, right? Indrajit, Baba Indrajit, and yeah. So I'm saying there are players who don't get games at all. So if the player agent is actually starting that particular move, then within the ecosystem, you are able to give feelers. Because I know one of my friends, classmate, he was an 8-player agent. And before he takes a player into a particular league, I remember he'll put a frantic question out to me saying, hey, Macha, if this player, is he good enough for us to take him? And then the way he decides if that player is good enough is, if one more Australian comes, there'll be like 5-6 things at the round table, and these Aussies will not speak with the other people. And then he will end up picking a completely random choice. But at least the player agent originates the conversations. So I think that way, I don't know, it's probably a use case I'm just thinking. But yes, so far, no trades happening in the IPL. I'm just thinking, as a product, if this has to go, how would you basically productize this? What are the triggers?
I think for me, it's a straightforward thing of you have a requirement. You don't have a requirement of a certain player. I have a requirement of either that specific player or that type of player, and maybe I have something that you could use. So it's swap like that. I don't know that the player agents and stuff will get into it, and it might. I don't know, but from my perspective, it's a purely utilitarian thing where I need an asset that you are not using, and you can have an asset that I'm not using. It's just a straight swap like that, with of course an exchange of monies as the case may be.
Right. No, if it originates from the team, right? The difference is that it is only one-way traffic. Now, if the player doesn't want to, let's say Sachin Tendulkar's son was Arjun Tendulkar, not getting a game, he's just getting social media views. He's like, boss, I can at least go to KKR. They don't have this thing. Can I speak to KKR? Maybe KKR is not even thinking at that level. But if a player agent is there, I think it just creates more nodes within the system and more opportunities.
That could also happen, and again, that does happen in the NBA as well. And again, I'm just going to talk about the NBA because that's where I sort of have an interest in and experience in. So in the NBA, that absolutely does happen. You either have the player requesting a trade, saying that I don't feel comfortable in this setting, or I'm not getting game time. I'm not playing the way I want to play because of the way that the team is set up. Or you have the team saying, listen, this guy is like maybe a great player, but maybe we want that player. Like it happened just last season where one of the top NBA players in the world, a guy named Luka Doncic, who used to play for the Dallas Mavericks, was traded to the LA Lakers, which was one of the most insane trades in history. It made zero sense, but it still happened. So to put that into context, it would be like RCB giving away Virat Kohli. Like that's literally the equivalence of that.
Or you could say Gujarat Titans giving away Hardik Pandya to.
You see, that's the thing. Now, with that, it was actually Hardik Pandya requesting the trade, or maybe am I requesting it? But Hardik was certainly in favor of that. And so yes, so that's actually a pretty close equivalent of where a player has opted out, and the team wanted to retain him, but wasn't able to because the guy didn't want to be there. But then on the other hand, you'll also have occasions where the team just needs to make a strategic trade, and maybe they trade away one of their top players.
See,
Yeah.
the NBA has
Steve
the Eastern
Harris,
Conference
you can
and
comment.
the Western Conference, right? The NBA has the Eastern and the Western Conference, right?
Yep.
Which is like, what, 40 teams altogether?
30.
30, yeah. The IPL only has 10 teams, and they're very easily separated. Really good, middle table model, and shit teams. So
But see,
trades
that is
between them.
So is the NBA. So is NBA.
Yeah, exactly.
Both the
there's a lot
conferences
more-
have that lip.
With the
But there's a
NBA,
lot more
you kind
teams,
of
right?
have,
And a lot more players to work with.
with NBA, you'll generally have certain teams being shit for many years, which is not the case with the IPL because every 4 or 5 years there is a reset. So you're going to have a team which may be really good for one cycle, and then you get kind of a hard reset. With the NBA, you have teams like the Washington Wizards, for example. They've been shit for years. Like Michael Jordan played for the Washington Wizards, and they were still shit at that time, which should tell you. Yeah, Michael Jordan did play for the Washington Wizards very briefly. Kind of after he retired. But yeah, I mean it's a different matter. But you have NBA teams that have been shit for years and years and years. I suppose you could also argue that we've had IPL teams that have been shit for years. But it's again, at least you have the chance to
Don't
reset.
take these things personally. Shavak, just because you're an
Yeah.
RCB fan, don't take it personally.
I was about to crack the
I was
same joke,
talking about-
man. Fuck.
I
Oh,
was talking about DC and Punjab.
Ah,
I think RCB got
Yeah,
better under
19 and
Nesson.
counting.
I thought, yeah, till 2000. I
Yeah.
think
Till 20, they
RCB
were
still. I
shit.
think every 3-4 years they got into that thing. 2016 they were very
qualify
good.
once in like 4 years or something.
Correct. That was the thing with RCB. I don't think they were a shit team all out like Punjab.
No, they weren't.
so Punjab had some great years, man.
Yeah,
That
that
first
is
season,
because they
Punjab
had-
was red hot.
They had one great year.
2008,
They had a
2014,
They had a great year in 2014,
2014.
and then after that, the next great year they had was last year, and now this year, of course.
Yeah, that's because they had two good Australians come and have all-time seasons, and then they'd build their team around them. That's all. Slight coincidence, but yeah.
So yeah, I think meanwhile, while
But
we
I think
move to-
this mid-season trade window, I think is an opportunity for a lot of people. I can think of. Okay, I'll come to this question. I think there's an opportunity for. I mean, at the top of my head, there are a lot of players now. Let's say, for example, in SRH, you have now discovered two guys who you're going to play for the rest of the season. That has impacted Jaydev Unadkat and Harshal Patel being benched, right? Both are guys which some teams might want. There should be an opportunity for this. I feel so. They should be playing, and it's a good opportunity for a higher quality to come in because then some teams are for example last year LSG one by one lost all their fast bowlers. They were playing with their preferred fast bowler number 7 and 8, right? Which is how Prince Yadav got found. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been found. Yeah. So I think I'm sure there are players in each team which could be looking at especially it comes with the overseas players. Like there is, CSK could do with one overseas player aligned differently, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
Like a
us
top
getting
order
Joss
left-handed number 3, or ideally somebody like that is around, and say okay, you take Matt Short or whoever else is left.
Yeah,
So I
LSG
think
would-
these windows should be used.
It's interesting because
Yeah.
if the other team can make money and they're not going to win the tournament, because there is no loss of opportunity here, because it's not like you're coming 8th or 9th, you are making a loss or anything like that. There's no relegation also. So when the opportunity cost is not there, you might as well think about doing a short-term loan. Maybe that players, you know that what is the value of that player if he goes to another environment. It's like an A/B test. You know it, and then you know, okay, fine, this player is not working here, not working there. I think the mistake is in the player and not maybe with the environment.
Yeah.
That said, there's a question for Neerav, which I think people want.
Yeah. So I'm addressing. So I think his first question was Neerav. This was his first question. I went back in the timeline. So the answer to this is yes. It was while I was, I was with GT the season Hardik was there, and then when he was not there. But I'm not part of the management. So the core, I was an external vendor who was making content for them, and I'm not in a position to make any decisions for the management. And I don't think the management were much in much position as well, because from what I've understood is that MI wanted Hardik, right? They approached Hardik. It's convenient that Hardik is represented also by a management team which is effectively part of the same Reliance group called Rise something Sports and Entertainment, RISE. So Hardik is managed by them, and so it was probably easier to go to him directly and say, do you want to think? And then Hardik would have negotiated his terms and then laid it out to the management. So now I have a thing is, from my understanding, if a player doesn't want to be with the team, you can't stop him. There is nothing in contractually which you can do to make him stop, to make him not, and at that
while
point,
you were away,
yeah.
While you were away, this is the exact point we were discussing, saying that more than teams requesting, right? If a player agent requests saying that, okay, I want this particular, it just accelerates things, and maybe teams who are not, seeing the light of the day in terms of an idea, they get to see, oh, this is opportunity here, maybe why not?
Yeah, so I think what happened was GT then looked at it as an opportunity. We get 15 crores in cash, extra, and
Munafa.
it's also that was his official price, and I'm sure there was an off-the-table negotiated amount. We can speculate on what that is, but my guess would be that it would have matched that. So I think PVC, which was the parent company, said, okay, we won one tournament, we've come in the final of a second. We are actually now fairly profitable. As a venture capitalist, you are also looking for your bottom line as well as the top line. So I think your short-term benefits of that, saying that, okay, third year, are we likely to win the trophy? Okay, maybe not. With or without Hardik, maybe not. Let's take this. That's a big number. And then our shareholders will be happy, right? Our investors will be happy. It'll look good in our books. So I think it was a financial decision for everybody concerned. And at a point in which Hardik's not interested in playing for GT anymore, then you can't really stop him. I hope that answers your question, Andy. They probably would have asked for a player, but MI's either didn't have a player which GT would like. It's one of those things, right? CSK and RR agreed that Sanju, initially it was meant to be Shivam Dubey and Sam Curran. Then it went to Shivam Dubey and Jadeja. Then it went to Jadeja and Sam Curran, and that's where it ended, right? So I think that's where the settlement landed. And CSK was okay with that eventually. I don't think they were initially okay with it. No, they weren't, which is why the deal took forever. RR wanted, okay, RR is saying Sanju's going, we can't do anything about it. In return, we want, Shivam Dubey, because that's our hole we want to fill, a middle order Indian explosive batter. And luckily for them, they didn't get Shivam Dubey, so
yeah, luckily for them.
But
yeah,
mid-season, one of our best batters in the 2026 T20 World Cup. So it's not like he's shit. He's just having a bad series.
Yeah,
I don't think CSK.
So I think it's a combination of bad luck, because Sam Curran is ruled out for the thing. So it's if he had been in CSK and been ruled out, then CSK was screwed, right? Because actually they were screwed either which way, because their replacement was Matt Short. So So yeah, these things sometimes go right, sometimes go wrong. You never know. Shofane Rutherford was a cash deal exchange again. No player exchanged. Shardul Thakur was exchanged with Arjun Tendulkar and some cash. Correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. Shardul Thakur from LSG came to, and Arjun Tendulkar went there, and some whatever the net difference.
And that
of
was
cash.
requested by Arjun, right? Because Arjun said, "I'm not getting a
Was
game
it?
with MI." Yes, it was because Arjun Tendulkar said, "I'm not getting a game. I'd rather go to some other franchisee where there's an
Where I
opportunity."
will not get a game either.
He went to the best Indian bowling
Attack.
unit in the league. Yeah, he probably has a better
So,
chance.
but
of getting
based
a
on
game.
okay, so last year he might have got a game because they had reached a point where I can't remember who opened the bowling here.
Maybe he saw it that time. Like, everybody's getting a bowl. The 7th and 8th bowler are getting a bowl. So even if it's a shit team, if I get to bowl those 4, 8, whatever, 2 games of 4 overs, I'll have something to prove. Here, Rohit Sharma is using me like I'm this quota system where चलो इसका 2 ओवर पावर प्ले में डाल देते हैं और पापा यूज कर दिया tick. That's how a lot of us felt that, unfortunately it's it goes against somebody like Arjun Tendulkar because of his illustrious background. So you feel that this is a favor, and that's how even the auction, the team owners react saying chalo le lete hain isse. It's like 20 lakh hai chalo le lete hain. It doesn't come from okay, this is a great buy. I've never seen that passion come through. So things are stacked against him. I'm just hoping the kid gets an opportunity and is able to prove himself at whatever level. So he's gone there. The trade was requested by Arjun Tendulkar, is what I heard.
Yeah, just taking up this question from Arthav. Arthav, Torrent came in a good 7-8 months after the IPL had finished for that year. So Torrent, from my memory, came in around December, Jan of 24-25. And yeah, it would have looked, so the valuation of the GT would have been better off with Hardik not there.
So that said, we're 57 minutes into the conversation. We've hit 154 people on the stream. Thanks a lot. 154. Thank you for your support. If you've still not signed or rather, signed up or subscribed to the Cow Corner Dugout on YouTube, on Instagram, please do so. Yeah, we go here live every night at 11 p.m. Tonight's, of course, slightly early because we started at 10 p.m. The game got over by then. And quickly moving over, but we had a very interesting chat on mid-season windows, the similarity to NBA and what we can take, because this game is over really quickly. And with just 20 overs of game that was possible today, or just 50% of game time, we're now forced to think into the next game that is there, which is tomorrow's game in the IPL. And yeah, we're moving to Punjab Kings versus Rajasthan Royals in Mullanpur. And what are your thoughts on the game, or what are the narratives that you think you want to see with this team?
I think we've had 3 of the best. Sorry, go ahead, Snack.
RR's downfall begins here. I think they're going to get hammered, and then I think they'll lose steam. They might still finish 4th, but I don't see them going, 4th or 5th from there. That's all.
No, Jofra Archer, I mean, as Neerav also said, right? While RR looks like a top 3 team and their lower middle is starting to get some game time. I think since they have Jofra Archer and he somehow picks wickets, right? It'll be interesting to see if Punjab Kings can continue the sustained level of aggression against somebody like Jofra Archer, because I'm curious to see how is it that Jofra can take a game against top order batters. So that's something that I'm curious to see. And if you're getting some swing up front, how are they going to shape up against somebody who brings the left arm swing, Jofra and Berger? So because we saw how Berger troubled CSK, I know that was a very different surface. There's no rain in the air, I'm guessing, in Punjab. But I'm just looking to see how can these two at the top be curtailed. If at all, if there's a new narrative, I'm just waiting to see how these two perform. But outside of that, my worry is that RR, if they lose their top 3 in their batting, how is it? They just don't have a 4th or 5th gear with Jadeja batting. It's either 2nd or 3rd gear. And in a collapse, it's usually run a ball. So I'm curious to see how RR will go if they lose wickets. It is the same conundrum that you have with GT. Such a good top 3, but if they fail, what happens?
Yeah, for me, I think one of the biggest issues with RR is that Shimron Hetmyer has been in rubbish form this year. Obviously, he's a quality player, but the runs just haven't been coming. We've been talking about maybe it's time that GT drop Rashid. I think we're beyond time that RR drops Hetmyer and looks to bring in somebody else.
See, Hetty was in really
Form
good
is such
form
a
in the
strange thing, right? I just remember, I think on 23rd Feb, I was traveling from Ahmedabad after the South Africa loss, came over to Mumbai, watched that West Indies Zimbabwe game at Wankhede, and I saw Shimron Hetmyer basically slapping every Zimbabwean bowler all over, and he was in such great form. But yeah, now I think he scored about 70 odd runs, averaging 15, 16, 110, 112 kind of strike rate. It's surprising that, how form can quickly change.
I have a point on Hetty. He batted at number 3 for that West Indies side where he was so good. He was, one of the best batsmen in the whole tournament, like probably top 8, top 10. He was batting at number 3 for them, and Brandon King or one of their openers was practically a walking wicket. So he was in the power play, or at least within 6 to 8 overs all the time. He is batting at number 5, number 6 for this RR team because Jurel's at number 3, Parag wants to play 4, and then the top 4 is pretty solid, right? And then you have him Hetmyer coming in. I feel if he batted at 3, he'd be a lot better for them. Ideally Hetty should be at 3, but they seem to like Jurel there for whatever reason, and he's proven it. So yeah, they need to finish.
As much as the two RR batters are out of form, right? You have this guy Shimron Hetmyer, who's like 70 odd runs in 6
And
games.
Parag.
Even
Parag.
Riyan Parag. Parag's got like a same strike rate, 110, 112. He has got some 90 and 95 runs in 7-8 innings. They played 8 games or so. Yeah. So that's the kind of form that even their middle order is going through. And I don't know, tomorrow is there an opportunity to maybe tee off against the only weak spot that I'm starting to see, just like Meera was talking about Rashid Khan slowly emerging as that weak spot and Gujarat not having that confidence. Is Yuzvendra Chahal also going through that kind of interesting, because he's not getting as many dots as he used to. He's also going at about 10, 11 and over. He's only taken 1 wicket in the last 4 games. So that's probably another thing that where I'm thinking the middle order of RR. Basically, middle order of RR can take on somebody like Yuzvendra Chahal.
It's a coin toss, right?
I don't think this middle order of Jurel, Parag, Hetty, Donovan Ferreira, Jadeja is going to really take Yuzi Chahal to the cleaners. So if Punjab can be in the game with 3 wickets in the first 7-8 overs, they are through. Punjab has has fairly decent bowling lineup, and with guys like Xavier Bartlett and Marco Jansen coming in at 8 and 9, that batting also becomes quite strong. So I don't think Punjab is. I don't think Yuzi is Punjab's weak spot. And also you have to remember that
amongst the other players, he looks to me the one who's not yet got enough game time or like got a 4-4 or because I remember last time there was this very interesting game, Punjab versus RR, a 120 kind of a game in Mullanpur, and Yuzvendra Chahal got them a 4-wicket haul, and he basically defended that total. And I could see the happiness because he was coming off a poor run of form. That way, I meant there is pressure probably with him because he's just picked 1 wicket in the last 4 games. So and he's not even given dots. So or he's not like somebody like an Ashwin who reduces runs at one end. So that's why I felt okay. Will they try to take him on as a mental disintegration?
Yeah, I think he's a
seasoned.
He's a pedigreed cricketer, and I also think Mullanpur is not really conducive to spin bowling. I mean, it is a high-scoring ground. Everybody's going for runs. And you also have to remember, if you've been to Punjab, it is entirely green. You don't need any more trees. So dot balls are not required by any of the bowlers.
I didn't get that.
One of the narratives I'm looking forward to is seeing
the dot balls. Every dot ball plants 19 trees. Come on, Karthik, wake up. So nobody needs dot balls in Punjab
because
there are far too many trees. Yeah.
One of the narratives I'm looking forward to is seeing which of Priyansh Arya, Prabh Simran, and Suryavanshi, and of course even Jaiswal, which of them, but specifically these 3 guys because of how explosive they are, is going to have the best game, because it's basically like these are three of the sort of most exciting uncapped Indian T20 batters right now. So I'm hoping to see like a bit of a hit off between those three specifically. Obviously, Jaiswal is quality, but he's played already, so I'm kind of not counting him in this particular conversation, given the narrative of the three uncapped Indian openers.
And what a
Also-
tough thing for somebody like Jaiswal, right? Man, this guy Priyansh Arya is striking at 249, Suryavanshi is striking at 235, and Jaiswal, who's like a 3-4
Thomas
match
going at
player,
190.
huh?
Even if Top Simran is going at 190 right now.
190. So Jaiswal is now like, oh man, there are like 5 people already claimants to my throne, and I'm not even getting in the India T20 side. ODIs, these Rohit and Virat are breathing down my neck. Tests, I get an opportunity, and he's like, all of a sudden, he's out of reckoning from being like the poster kid in 2023-24 for RR. Suddenly, every year, new talent keeps coming up. And when you said these other 3 names, I was just thinking, okay, how is Jaiswal probably feeling with, these two? I think Priyansh and Suryavanshi are probably top of the strike rate table when I look at the table in terms of the number of runs. Yeah.
And average as well, by the way. They're both averaging 40 odd to go with a strike rate of 240, which is freaking insane.
Jaiswal was the one young great kid back in 22, 23, right? And now every year another 5 pop their heads up, and he
He might be
kind of
feeling
gets
so
lost.
old at 25. Like, ye kal ke bacche. 25, if you're feeling like that. Let's take a couple of more questions.
And we're on a
Why
couple
there is no
days,
middle?
couple list 175, just a target market. That's great to know. There's Pavitra, I think there's a question. Oh, sorry, yeah.
Okay, let's take that. Not taking anything away from today, but afternoon matches in 40+ degree heat in India feel inhuman. After a long game and barely a day's rest, it's hard not to feel for the players. So is DC, do you think, suffering from that? Did DC, I mean, that's the contextual thing.
Right.
So
I
the
think
DC
the way
played, Saturday played the
way
afternoon
48
game and Monday they're back.
correct. Just the
Could be.
48
But
hours.
that's going to happen to somebody every week.
Yeah.
Somebody, one team at least, who's playing the Saturday afternoon game will play the Monday night game.
Also, these games are not spaced because of elections that are happening all over India, right? So they have to fit in a schedule for the first part, till your elections are there. And the second thing is, anyway, in summer in India, the IPL is a summer sport, right? And it's always played in the summer. So the only thing that can help is scheduling, which probably this year due to elections it's a little messed up. But otherwise, playing in this heat is fairly common for this time of the year, is what I'd say, unless you're playing in Dharamshala. And Dharamshala is probably the best place to go watch a game in the summer. Pavitra is from Chennai, and I know her. She's part of our group. She runs a theatre company. So yeah, so that's Pavitra's question, and then we have seen uploader. RR not the same as G. I'll take any day. Yeah, you read it out.
Yeah, but he's missing an okay. Who's reading it?
Form. I'll read it.
RR are not the same as GT. I'll any day take even out of form Parag, Hetmeyer, Ferreira over SRK, Washi, and Tewatia. Hetmeyer and Parag should switch position. The only I'll qualify this by saying the 4, 5, 6 of GT is now includes Jason Holder. So that to me tilts the balance. Otherwise, I'll agree with this.
Ferreira's decent, man. He's been pretty decent for them. He's just got 33
Ferreira's good. He's a good finisher.
Parag, again, he's not been in great form this season, but you look at his domestic numbers, he's absolutely lauding it. So again, just a matter of, I don't think there's an absence of pedigree when it comes to Parag. I think it's more form, and likewise with Hetmeyer. We've seen what Hetmeyer can do over the last whatever decade that he's been playing.
He just dominated a World Cup, right?
Yeah, exactly. So in both cases, it's not a lack of pedigree, it's a lack of form. With GT, at some level, yeah, I think I agree. I don't think, for example, SRK and Tewatia don't really have the same ceiling as these other guys do.
I do agree with the second part of his comment as well. Hetmeyer and Parag should probably switch because Hetmeyer is, as I said before, he's at his best at number 3. But Jurel has the spot.
Yeah, but what I think Jurel has been, and then I don't think there's any reason to ask Jurel to move out of number 3. He's been doing a damn good job. What also putting Hetmeyer at number 4 does is puts 3 of your lefties in the top 4. So maybe breaking that up is why they are. That could be the only thing. I don't know.
And Hetmeyer was a finisher for Rajasthan Royals. That's how
He
they
was.
used him.
That's been his. That's
He's a
actually been his
designated finisher.
role in the IPL
Designated
for
finisher.
a long time. It's been as a finisher. He hasn't really
That's
been
only
a
the
top.
West Indies who's used him. They've used him at 3 to
But
bat.
internationally, he is a top order batsman, whether it's in the ODI setup or the T20 setup. He's done his best work at number 3, number 4. RR, for whatever reason, seemed to use him as a finisher, and I don't think he's been really good at it, right?
He had a couple of really good seasons as a number 5-6 batter, coming in towards the latter half of the innings and kind of smashing it.
The guy can
So
hit
he's-
space. The guy can hit
he's done
spin.
good
So he
well.
doesn't have any potential weakness like that, right? So I think that's the kind of caliber of a player that you're dealing with. He's a very attacking guy.
But he's done his best work at 3. So if he's out of form, you ideally put him up the order, 4, hopefully.
No, I think you're saying from a capability standpoint, but again, what is RR looking at? And sometimes when you have a captain who's also wanting for resources, right? Same thing. Will Ruturaj Gaikwad say, I think the whole team without Ruturaj Gaikwad is actually more amazing than with Ruturaj Gaikwad? He wouldn't do that. Similar with, I think, with Riyan Parag too. Somebody who wants to get into the Indian T20 setup, who's been a distant part in some of these small bilateral series versus Bangladesh or stuff like that. He will definitely want to bat as high as he wants to. So I don't think, as much as they would look at team combinations, I'm sure as a captain, they have their say in them. Even if they're stalling certain combinations, they will have their say, is what I feel.
Yeah, so, for better or worse, you have to commit yourself to certain things. And what I like about RR is they've committed their spots, right? They haven't been juggling after a loss, reacting to a bad day, So their lineup, which we saw earlier, if you go back, they probably played with the same lineup in the first game. I think Donovan Ferreira might have come in for someone else, but that's about it. This has been their 11-12 from game 1. So they are backing that this is our best 11. And, unless there's a major problem, we are not going to try and reinvent the wheel by juggling things around. So far, bad days. I mean, finishing is a dangerous thing, man. Anybody can get out on first ball, right? The best finishers in the world fail. So often enough. So I think you have to let Hetmeyer do his job. Donovan Ferreira is another finisher they have, groomed in that sense, and they've got him on. It's a good sign. For me, the oddity is Jadeja. So, and the way I see it is, it's perfectly fine at number 7 to have a guy who will, if you have 40 for 3, 40 for 4, he will bottle up one inning, give you a run a ball or a 120 strike rate, 30-40, and hold. I mean, today DC needed somebody like him to
I'm also wondering, doesn't DC have a single batter? Like when they were 4 down or 5 down, right? They should have just, if Jadeja was batting, he would have just put test match difference batting and taken them to 130. Because these extra runs matter at the end when you come to net run rate. What has happened today? 76, and they chased it off, in 6 or 7 overs. That's a huge impact to the net run rate. And it's even CSK's defeat now doesn't feel so bad. The first game in Guwahati. Oh, that said, we're talking about Donovan Ferreira. It's a very interesting comment, and that's what even I was thinking. Donovan Ferreira and Andre Berger were out and out Super Kings guys. Okay? They played for Johannesburg Super Kings, and I'm just surprised that CSK did not go for them in their team choices. That's probably what Andy is also saying.
I think CSK is allergic to good bowlers.
CSK is allergic to logic, man. It's allergic to logic. I don't know how. I can't explain any of their decisions. You have to actually put a reverse AI to figure out, think like CSK.
Yeah, the management is... Well, we don't want to get started there. One huge can of
Think
worms.
like CSK management. So the first step is put mixture, have mixture, chill. So yeah, we're right now on a very 185. Do you remember any player scoring 185? I remember 183, of course, Dhoni scored.
Finch.
186.
186 was Sachin.
Finch.
Yeah, Sachin in Hyderabad.
Sachin, Kevin Peterson. We're back to 185.
On that note. On that note, I think we've taken every question. There's one question I'm not sure about. I'll just pop it in case we have. Then let me see, where did it go? There was something about West Indian players not showing up properly in the IPL in the recent times. I've forgotten where that question is. I'm just scrolling up. But you want to take that? Like, apart from Andre Russell and Sunil Narayan, the West Indians have flattered to deceive in the IPL over the years. since
Pollard.
Pollard, Bravo.
recent.
Puran,
Yeah,
right.
Puran had a all-time
Why is
year,
there no
all-
middle ground play with the West Indies players off late? Either they are Andre Russell in their prime years or shit show throughout the season. I
That's with all
I think-
foreign players. Like, that's with every single.
Yeah, I
foreign
think they go through a cycle. It is just that West Indies in 2012 to 14 had that super, T20 specialists come out who were the best in skills at a relative level at that point. Chris Gale, Andre Russell, even somebody like Darren Sami played for Sunrisers.
Sunil Narayan,
Sunil
Narayan, Samuel Badri, DJ Bravo, well, a
Pollard.
lot of those good plays.
Still
Pollard.
There was a whole generation that was being created where they were ahead.
Yeah.
And I think
And
the
you have to
current
remember the
generation,
name,
I remember, yeah,
Carlos Brathwaite.
Carlos White. So
On
yeah,
a- on a wider note,
current generation doesn't have these kind of players. Like even in the CPL, while there is somebody like a Nicholas Puran or Shimron Hetmeyer, I think they are not in the same league at a relative level because that consistency is not there. So I think it's lack of professionalism coming from them. They're like easy money. Okay, I'll go play these 3-4 leagues. Whenever you guys call me, I'll join you guys at a World Cup. Somehow I just feel that taking things for granted, or kids in the Caribbean are growing up and saying, I have 4 choices to do. I could either play music, play basketball, find a career in the UK, playing like some league cricket, or I could just be smoking ganja, just, sitting there listening to Bob Marley music. I don't think that the approach to career is different because we saw that in the Akil Hussain interview in terms of how much of crime is there in the place that they grow up from in the Caribbean. So I think they're going through a very very tough time with respect to their economy as well as the choices people have. So maybe cricket isn't a foremost choice.
I think that's maybe looking a little bit too deeply into this. I think it's just a very simple matter of there not being the kind of quality in the West Indies right now that there was 10 years ago. Like
Yeah.
Gale,
The
Pollard,
domestic structure is just not there. No? The domestic structure is not there, so therefore the CPL standard keeps dropping, and therefore you have lesser and lesser people of a higher and higher quality coming through.
yeah, and they're squandering the talent they have. Anodian Smith, Ocean Thomas, Sheldon Cottrell. These are all international quality players. They performed for a year or two. Then where are they?
No, they
I mean,
don't
you'd
have
say
the
Shea Hope,
facilities.
Brandon King, and all that. So they're not developing far enough. They come in with a certain talent, and I would put Jaden Seals in there. I would put Shamar Joseph in there.
Craig
They
Brathwaite.
don't. Their development doesn't go too much higher. Where
Yeah.
because the quality, this standard of cricket. I mean, they're putting in guys into their test team who have a 30 first class average, an average of 30 in first class cricket. The quality is just not there.
Right, so we hit 190 and in 77 minutes, so we're almost done. Quick round of predictions for tomorrow's game, and then we're going to say goodbye. We are at 190. Any score that you can think of? 190?
I'm thinking
It's a good quiz.
that's Punjab and RR is going to score a lot more than 190 at
Isn't
Mulan.
that Martin Crow's? Or am I confusing
was-
it with someone? Isn't
Okay,
that his
so-
highest score?
No, 299 is Martin Crow's
299,
highest.
yeah.
I think I'm going to go with Punjab. I don't think RR are going to go challenge Punjab. Punjab batting first to scoring 230. This, despite being a due ground, I think RR will collapse, and that's my prediction for tomorrow.
I think Punjab wins, but I would love to see RR chase down whatever Punjab make or whatever, bat first and put on 230. For no other reason than I want to watch Vaibhav Suryavanshi bat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully
I'll
it's a
go
good
Punjab.
game, and that's all I want. I think, yeah, the thrillers have been the surprising ones. Yesterday's game, I mean, both RR LSG games have been the two most thrilling games of this IPL for me. Right? That's bizarre. I mean, let's have the top 2 teams play thrillers. For
But
God's
my
sake.
question is, was yesterday's game thrilling or was it just boring and it happened to end off in a
I know
in a
you.
very
Yeah,
anticlimactic
in,
over?
Yeah,
Most
from
thrillers
taking a
start
nap
off
through the
good.
thing, but we
Most
showed up on
thrillers
the
start
stream
off
and
good.
suddenly it became a thriller.
right.
And the earlier one was a thriller because it was who's
Mukul,
going.
right?
So it's a thriller from the sense of who's going to want to lose more, badly, right? Who wants the loss more? It's thriller from that perspective. It's not who wants to win it. It's like who's bottling this game. So yeah, I hope.
So yeah, so thanks.
Yeah,
We
so
got
I'm
our
done.
predictions right.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining. We're 195 on the stream. I think is that our? I think we've got a 200 this sometime earlier during the IPL, but 195.
No,
the
we've
start
done
of the
We've
week
done a
is-
Karun Nair also.
Sehwag in Melbourne.
We've done a Karun Nair also, right? We've done a 303.
This
Oh, we
is
did? Okay.
Rahul in Chennai, right?
194 is
190
Sachin.
194 is Said Anwar in Chennai.
195 is
during the
Rahul in
declaration.
Chennai in 2016.
199, no, that's 199. We're at 194 right now. So we'll end with a very
That's
Sachin,
Sachin
Said
at-
Anwarisk or Sachin or Said Anwarisk. 195 now. So yeah, I think we're
Not
just
Charles
playing around.
Coventry. Chalo, let's go.
That was also
It was
194. Yeah.
194. 195 was Sehwag at Melbourne.
Sehwag.
Right. So we end with Virender Sehwag.
I'm sure there is a score at which everybody has made runs. Somebody or the other has made that
I think,
number.
But this is a good-
someone had one of those stats guys, I forget his name, on Twitter had once said that he basically put the highest ever test scores not scored, and it was something like 88 or 87 or something like that. I don't remember.
Okay,
right.
let's go. All right, guys,
Okay.
thank you for joining. Subscribe, like, share the stream. Tell your friends to come and join us tomorrow. Bring your children, bring your Gen Zs, because we're here. Sup,
Yeah.
bro?